Welcome. This is what we're gonna be making today. I will show you everything you need to know. So let's get started. First off, all the assets in this video are made by Kenny, of course. Visit his website kenny.com if you want to use the same assets. This is what I will be starting with. A simple layout of assets and a controller that moves with the arrows. Let's make a script and put it on our camera. We don't need all the basic stuff, so delete it. First, we're gonna store a variable that is the screen size. We will need this if you want to make this work with a resizable window. We do this by connecting the size manager the size changed function from a window to our own function that will then update everything. This is a very common technique. And it is essentially a callback that we connect to a different function. So now let's make an actual scene that will help us create rooms. We do this by making it area 2D and giving it a collision shape. Let's start by giving it a script. Uh, we're gonna make this script a tool. We do this by typing an @ sign and then tool. This makes it so that the script also works in editor, making it so you can actually see whether the room is the right size. We then need a few export variables that will be unique for every instance of a room. These are going to be the tile size of your tile of your art style. Mine is 16 by 16, so I will use that. The update we will click on if we need to update the look of everything, since there are no setGet functions in Godot 4. We need a room position and a room size. And that is it for now. There will come more stuff later. In the process function, we check whether update is true. Then we just update everything. This is basic tool stuff for Godot. We are gonna resize the shape of the uh, collision node instead of the scale of the area. This is because this is how you should use an area 2D. You shouldn't resize it. You should resize um, the collision shape. Now let's set one up for the first room already. As you can see, it doesn't work entirely, so we need to set a few more variables correctly. So we're gonna set the scale. As you can see, that doesn't work because there was a double tile size. Then we need to set the position. We are gonna make the area 2D always the upper left tile in our rooms. This is because it makes the math easier later on. So we need to displace the collision shape, as you can see here, so that it always encompasses the right tiles and we don't get a centered area 2D. Then we need to make it so that we can actually move uh, the area of the room. So we're just gonna do this. For those of you wondering why I multiplied by 1, it is so that the vector 2i gets reset to a vector 2. Now we're gonna create a signal. And this is a signal that will be emitted when the player enters a new room. We're gonna connect it through code. So if you're not familiar with that, pay good attention. It's just a basic signal declaration. We're gonna pass two variables, the position and the scale. These variables will be constant for the entire runtime. So performance-wise, it's good to calculate them beforehand. Then we need to also set the variables like the size of the collision shape and stuff in the ready function because during runtime the process function, of course, won't be called because update is false. Then we need to calculate the actual room position. Um, and we need to calculate the room scale. The room position is the position the camera will take, so it is the center of the room. And the room scale is the amount of pixels from left to right and top to bottom the room is big. So now we're going in the camera's script, we are connecting that signal we just made to our function. That function will set everything all right for the camera. So first we need to declare a few new functions. And we need to make sure that we pass in the right variables. We can just set the position to the position we pass in because it's already transformed. We can't set the zoom because we haven't calculated it yet. So we will do that by getting our variable that is the screen size and dividing it by the scale of the room, because the screen size is in pixels as well as the scale of the room. So this makes the math very easy. We need to see the scaling factor that will be the zoom. Now, since we don't want a distorted view, the X and Y zoom must be the same. So we can't just set the zoom to that scaling factor. We need to get the minimum of both of these. That's what you can see here. And we also need to store what we get. Play close attention, the zzoom function now is incorrect. I will correct this later. And as you can see, I am setting up a few rooms. This takes some time, but it's definitely easier than doing everything through code. And it also, you don't have to change anything except for the export values with every new room. So this is very scalable. There was an error that needed to be corrected as well as this. As you can see, it kind of works right now, except that the zoom seems a bit off. That is because we don't keep the wall in mind, and we are gonna make this another export variable, how many walls there are that you also want in your zoom. This is not going to be a standard 1-1 because sometimes you will want a corridor that isn't in the collision shape, and you will also set it through these export variables. Now we need to change the scale and the position accordingly. It's not very complicated. You won't see anything change, but what we're doing is we just set everything to 1-1 because I don't use any corridors. And as you can see, everything works. We're essentially almost done, except that resizing doesn't work because we need to change two things. The set screen size function needs a set zoom instead of the set room. And the set zoom function needs the scaling factor to be limited to 2 digits. So that's what you can see. As well as the stored position should be stored scale, of course. And as you can see here, now everything is working correctly, even if we resize the window. Now it still is looking quite trash because just everything switches from one room to another. How do we change this? We are going to use Godot's signature object, the tween. How you use this changed in Godot 4. So if you don't know how it changed, please pay close attention. We can comment out the line that sets the zoom. Don't forget to do this, otherwise your tween is completely useless. So now we are almost done. As you can see, whenever I move from room to room, now everything is tweened in half a second. You can decide for yourself whether you like the half a second or you want it faster or slower. Now let's set the background. You can find this in the under rendering. By making it black, everything just looks a bit better. And yeah, this is the final product. Thank you for watching. I hope you find this useful. The GitHub page is of course in the description.